We are talking a lot about mould breaking, about the way that poetry can expand what my taxi driver thought it might be. And our next book actually celebrates a mould, then it toys with that mould, and eventually it stretches the mould beyond its elastic limit, although it always returns. The book's called 40 Sonnets by Paterson, and there are sonnets in many different forms in it. Sonnets where the rhyme, in whatever form it comes, aids thought and eventually becomes a coat for the sonnet to wear beautifully. There are more experimental sonnets in here that make you think very hard about what form and content do to each other and what they mean for each other. And that's how we should always think when we're reading poems. On page 5 of this book, there's a line that goes, "When will the air stop breathing?" And I think that's what Paterson asks us in all his poems. When will it stop breathing? When will poetry have finished with us? And it never will have. And that's the question, that's the answer. It'll never stop breathing as long as poets like the ones we got tonight are writing poems. So, in the end, the book does what it says on the tin, if that tin is limitless and fathomless. Paterson, 40 Sonnets.
Knowing it's only me standing between you and the bar, I think I'm going to put a stopwatch on this one. Although it's really not the moment to notice that my new iPhone cover is embossed with the word fashion. Something I'm going to try and forget. There we go. This first poem is spoken in the voice of a wave. From which fact alone you may be inclined to think accurately that it's an allegory of some kind. I hope it is, anyway. Sounds like a terrible workshop exercise, doesn't it? Write a poem in the voice of your trousers. Anyway, this is in the voice of a wave. For months I'd moved across the open water like a wheel under its skin, a frictionless and by then almost wholly abstract matter, with nothing in my head beyond the bliss of my own breaking, and how the long foreshore would hear my full confession, and I'd drain into the shale till I was filtered pure. There was no way to tell on that bare plain, but I felt my power run down with the miles, and by the time I saw the scattered sails, the painted front, and children on the pier, I was nothing but a fold in her blue gown, and knew I was already in the clear. I hit the beach and swept away the town. This is called Funeral Prayer. Today we friends and strangers meet because our friend is now complete. He has left time. Perhaps we feel we're the ghosts, and him the real, so fixed and constant does he seem, so star-like. May the human dream arise again to find him woken at its heart, though to be spoken once is as miraculous as 1,000 times. What utters us, blind nature, told the trees and birds and bright stars, yet of all the words we knew, his name was the most dear. We give thanks he was spoken here. That was for Lemmy, obviously. Raised in hell and heaven. I wasn't really, but one of the funniest things I read last week was online was, cancer got Lemmy, which I think is an astonishing thing to say. Which I alone out of 2,000 people thought was funny, which is usually when I wake up screaming. But it's actually happened. Another time when I should have woken up screaming was I got stuck in a lift, which is my worst nightmare, a couple of years ago, and there was a power cut, so it was dark, and there was no one else in the lift, so there was no one to eat. It was also the world's worst lift, which was actually the most embarrassing aspect. I mean, I shouldn't have been in the lift because it was only up one flight of stairs in a B&B. And I was there for reasons of pure sloth because I couldn't be asked to drag my bag up the stairs. So I found myself having this existential crisis. It's called a power cut. This is what we've come to, this damn lift, this blackout, this airlock, this voiceless stop, this empty set, this storm cave, this dead drop, this death nut, this dumb waiter, this blind drift, this necker cube, this coal shed, this Swiss bank, this iron lung, this hide, this diving bell, this pseudocoma, priest hole, holding cell, this meat locker, this isolation tank, this, since I'm too lazy for the stairs in, this airless guest house in the Dales, so went for this jack screw for the old or lame or spent, for this 2-second trip between two floors, this way up box to sweat and say my prayers in, this 6-foot night, this theatre of doors, this. The whole thing lasted maybe 3 or 4 seconds tops, I should say. But it takes no time for your life to flash before you, as I say. This was a request for a poem from Dundee City Council in praise of the city of Dundee. And it was a bad time to ask me because I was leaving the town for what I hope was the last time. Mainly an annoyance at the council being unable to tell the difference between urban regeneration and post-apocalyptic, actually. But the occasion was the fact that we'd got the Victoria and Albert Design Museum through some kind of cosmic misfiling that's coming to Dundee, and they're hoping it's going to have the Bilbao effect. You know, that's not going to happen. But anyway, the other thing was we were shortlisted for UK City of Culture, a fact funny enough in itself, although beaten by Hull, I probably tops that. Anyway, this is what I supplied by way of reply to Dundee City Council. Fair play, round here only junkies walk, so that's unfair that I affect my shock at this last straw, that fine baronial stair you found cheaper to fence off than to repair, thus adding 20 minutes to my trip via Ring Road, bomb site, rape tunnel, and skip to the library where poor folks go to die or download porno on the free Wi-Fi. My shameful vanity, I thought you might take time this time to personalize the slight. No, at least I leave here with my tail between my legs again and setting sail for that fine country called the fuck away. Farewell, good luck with the V&A. Right, I'll try clapping this one. It's about putting a dog down. There is no jaunty introduction. And it's for anyone who's had to do that thing, which is both incredibly sad and a strange privilege. It's called Mercies. She might have had months left of her dog years, but to be who? She'd grown light as a nest and spent the whole day under her long ears, listening to the bad radio on her breast. On the steel bench, knowing what was taking shape, she tried and tried to stand, as if to sign that she was still of use and should escape our selection. So I turned her face to mine, and seeing only love there, which for all the wolf in her, she knew as well as we did, she lay back down and let the needle enter. And love was surely what her eyes conceded as her stare grew hard and one bright aerial quit making its report back to the center. And I'll finish off with a poem called Here. And it's about my new hobby. After the age of 50, I read it was, I didn't read after the age of 50. I probably wish I'd never started that sentence. I read somewhere it was good to take a siesta because it's good for your pulmonary system. And it's what Geoffrey Hill would call a retrospective aggrandizement. You know, I fall asleep in the afternoon, that's what happens. Anyway, it's not good for my pulmonary system because after 10 seconds I'm woken up with my heart pounding in my ears, in a state of existential crisis again. Feeling like some cosmically misfiled gravity monkey, wondering why I'm on this planet. Anyway, here. I must quit sleeping in the afternoon. I do it for my heart, but all too soon my heart has called it off. It does not love me. If it down tools, there'd soon be nothing of me. Its hammer beat says you are, not I am. It prints me off here like a telegram. What do I say? How can the lonely word know who has sent it out or who has heard? Long years since I came round in her womb, enough myself to know I was not home. My dear sea up in arms at the wrong shore, and her loud heart like a landlord at the door. Where are we now? What misdemeanor sealed my transfer? Mother, why so far afield? Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I've got to tell you that Barnsley applied to be UK City of Culture in 2013 when Londonderry got it. And all we did was, there was me and Dickie, It's Not My Round Bird, the well-known cricket umpire, and the leader of the council. We had to wear these T-shirts, and mine said Barnsley, UK City of, and Dickie's said Culture, and the leader of the council said 2013, and we had to stand there and get our photographs taken by a tripe stall in the market. And sadly, because Dickie wasn't listening, we all stood in the wrong order. So he said Culture, 2013, Barnsley, UK City of, which was a kind of avant-garde way of doing it. So that's why we didn't...